What's up, everybody? Philly Soccer Page post-game show. I'm Mike Servideo here with Greg Orlandini and Ryan Rose tonight. Union fall 4-1 to Montreal Impact at home. The Fang error starts out pretty insuspicious. Where did it all go wrong tonight?
Kickoff, honestly. Montreal was the better team. Montreal, it's a tough matchup for the Union because Montreal has speed, and they have speed and skill in a lot of key areas, and it's just these small, quick guys that can get on the ball and move the ball quickly and move around quickly. And the Union, they end up chasing ghosts. The Union's game lately has been the possession game. Well, most of the season it's been the possession game, and they couldn't get near the ball.
You saw the Impact really drop 9 men behind the ball for a lot of the night and really hit the Union on the counterattack. Didn't seem like the Union offense really got going tonight. Just is this going to be the case going forward, you think? Do you think that the teams will try to stymie the Union by sitting back like this?
I don't know, and I don't know if even if they do, that it will be effective. I think, frankly, the Union had an off night. Now the question is, do we see that going forward? But I don't think by putting 9 men behind the ball, you can necessarily, I don't think that's necessarily the key to stopping the Union's attack, especially because normally they do play that possession game and they will knock it around as long as possible until they see that opportunity. And tonight, they just were not able to get that opportunity.
Montreal scores 2 goals from Union corner kicks tonight on the counterattack. What can we take away from that? Is that a freak thing? Is that poor defending? Is that not something the Union planned on? What do you think?
I hope it's a freak thing. This is the kind of thing that keeps coaches up at night, like giving up goals in that situation. I mean, I don't know. Montreal could have been studying tape, saw something, and the way the Union sets up. The first one was Fafa kind of losing his footing, and it was like off to the races. The second one, the coach talked about it, just a missed time move by Keegan, and they punished. And Montreal Union made mistakes, and Montreal punished them all night for it, and it turned into those 2 goals.
I think one of the really unfortunate things of covering this team for a long time is that we've seen this show before. I think, if most clearly you look back to 2016 where the team kind of backed into the playoffs after being in a similar position than they are right now. Is that going to be a repeat, or do you think this game serves as more of a wake-up call to a team that can respond?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think fans are going to be asking themselves, what does this game mean until the next game? I mean, look, they just came off of a great winning streak later in the season than we've seen.
Yeah.
Even though we have seen this show before, not so late, and they're still in a better position. So I define this as right now, as it stands right now, just a missed opportunity. Now, it was a great opportunity. It was an opportunity to distance yourself from the rest of the pack in the Eastern Conference, bottom of the playoff race, and maybe catch up to Columbus even. And they missed that opportunity. The question is this a sign of worse things to come? And I think the answer is going to come at the next game at Seattle. If this team, whether they win, lose, or draw, is able to take their possession game, take that game in style that they couldn't execute tonight to Seattle, then I think this was just a fluke. If not, then maybe that's a little more concerning.
We talked a little bit about this on the podcast this week. Tough week this week with the Union having to travel to Seattle on Wednesday. What would you expect to see from maybe a couple of rotations?
I think you might see a David Accam start. You still don't have Ilsinho. I don't think he's quite there. Do you rest Boric? I don't know. I think if they had a little more depth and more of a like-for-like substitution for work, he might have taken this week off. He might have taken this game off. I don't know if you play him in Seattle. Coach talked about, he's still feeling the ankle a little bit. They took him out around the 70th minute, I think precautionary. I think you should rotate. I think just with everything going on, you have big games coming up. You have Kansas City at home, and then you got to hop on a plane and go to Houston and play a cup final. You really have to take kind of the long view.
Let's talk about the next 2 games specifically. Away to Seattle on Wednesday, and then hosting Sporting Kansas City back in Philadelphia next Sunday. 2 Western Conference opponents, so I think maybe the games are not as huge as playing some of the other Eastern Conference teams. Still big games late in the season, though. What is an expected points haul, do you think, from those two games?
Expected. I would expect, frankly, 0 points.
Yeah.
Away at Seattle is really tough. I mean, they've been great lately, and that's one of the toughest stadiums to play in MLS. And SKC have looked really sharp. Now, if after those two games you go to Houston and play, frankly, a poor Houston team, you win the U.S. Open Cup final and you get your club's first trophy, then this, what would be a 3-point losing streak, could really turn around, and we might see that momentum rise again. But it's not looking great for the next two games.
One bright spot on the night tonight, Austin Trusty scores his first goal. Jack Elliott had a brace a couple weeks ago. With the Union offensive depth seemingly a little bit tested lately, how big is it for some contributions from the back line, do you think?
Oh, it's huge, and it's great to see Austin get off the mark. I mean, he's been probably one of the Union's best players. Certainly having a fantastic year, getting a lot of recognition kind of nationally. But they have to figure out how to get goals. They have to get goals from a couple different spots, and maybe you're starting to see Corey Burke cool off a little bit. Didn't have an exceptional game today. CJ, was out on the wing, and he wasn't the most. I mean, nobody was really effective tonight, but he wasn't particularly effective tonight. And you look at your bench, and you're not sure where that scoring spark can come from. So if you can get it from a guy like Austin, you get a brace from Jack. You can maybe get a goal from Keegan, or from Harris or Ali Bedoya, who's not a big time goal scorer. If you could find goals from those guys, then that's big.
I think one last question before we wrap up, and I'll ask a little bit about the depth tonight. You saw David Accam come in, you saw Fabian Herbers come in, you saw Derek Jones come in. Didn't really do a lot to kickstart the team. Is it a problem that there's not a game-changing player on the bench right now for the Union with Ilsinho out?
Well, I think, let's see. I'm not necessarily sure that there isn't a game-changing player on the bench. I think Derek Jones before this played quite exceptionally, and I think everybody was off tonight. I mean, even your game-changing players that are not on the bench didn't play particularly well tonight. That being said, I think it is a problem that Ilsinho's injured right now. They really used Ilsinho as that super sub to come on, not only as a good sub, but as a change of pace, changes the nature of how other teams have to defend them. And you're not necessarily getting that change of style that a defense has to account for with, say, David Accam.
I think we'll wrap up there. Union lose 4-1 to Montreal. Tough week coming up, traveling to Seattle on Wednesday. We'll be back here next Sunday when the Union hosts Sporting Kansas City. We'll see you then.